The iPhone Air is a smartphone that honestly nobody was out here begging for. I don't think I've ever heard someone complain that their phone is too thick and needs to be thinner. Usually it's the opposite. People want bigger batteries, crazier cameras, more power, so why did Apple make this thing? Well, because whether you like it or not, the iPhone Air is kind of incredible. Not perfect, doesn't pretend to be, and definitely not for everyone. It's a statement piece. It's a product for people who value design, weight, feel, and that sort of effortlessly premium vibe over massive zoom lenses and 2-day battery life. It's for someone who just wants their phone to make it from morning to night without dragging around a brick. So why is the media tearing it apart? And is any of that criticism actually fair? Because here's the weird part. On one side, you've got reports that Apple is cutting iPhone Air production. And on the other, we already have rumors that the next generation is in the works. So what's the point of this phone? Why does it exist? And more importantly, what does it feel to actually own one? So many questions. Let's talk about it. So before we get into the iPhone Air itself, you have to look at where the industry is heading. Right now, everything is pointing toward foldables. I just reviewed the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and Samsung is clearly treating foldables as the next big frontier. And Apple? Well, they're not blind. The rumors are louder than ever that foldable iPhone is deep in development. But here's the pattern. Before companies go all in on a radically new design, they test pieces of that technology somewhere safer. Samsung did it with the Galaxy S25 Edge. It was literally a testbed for super thin smartphone components before they put them inside a full folding device. And that's exactly what the iPhone Air feels like for Apple. This phone is the company experimenting with new materials, new structural layouts, and new ultra-thin display tech, all without the enormous risk of launching a $2,000 foldable. If something goes wrong, this thin slab is way easier to pull back or quietly fix than a folding flagship. And because of that, the design here is wild. The iPhone Air is only 5.66mm thick. Let that sink in. That's thinner than nearly every flagship in the last decade. And at 165 grams, it's lighter than you'd ever expect from a phone with a 6.5-inch display. It's only slightly heavier than the old iPhone 12 mini, which is ridiculous considering how much larger it is. In the hand, the ergonomics are kind of insane. That thinness isn't just a spec. It genuinely changes how the phone feels day to day. It has that disappears in your pocket vibe, and even after long-term use, that novelty doesn't wear off. It's easily one of the most satisfying phones to hold that Apple has made in years. Visually, it's modern and almost jewelry-like. You've got polished Grade 5 titanium frame that looks great, even though it picks up fingerprints instantly. And that matte glass back, especially in this cloud white color I'm using, is just clean. There's also sky blue, light gold, and stellar black, and all of them look like classic Apple premium shades. Even the camera bump is more subtle than 17 Pro's. I actually prefer this design. But here's the part that surprised me most. It's tough, like genuinely durable. I've been using the caseless because putting a case on this thing feels like a crime, and I still haven't managed to put a scratch on it. Plus, it's still rated IP68, so it's not like thinness came at the cost of basic durability. Now the screen. This is where the Air flexes. It's a 6.5-inch OLED panel with P3 colors, near-perfect factory calibration, and the same top-tier specs as the rest of the iPhone 17 lineup. And in actual use, it's great not just for watching content, but even for more pro-leaning stuff. Photo editing, quick video cuts, even UI design work. The new anti-reflective coating plus 3000 nit peak brightness means this thing stays readable in full sun. The bezels are tiny, the slight edge curvature feels refined, and it's one of those displays that just blends into the hardware. And of course there's ProMotion, 1 Hz to 120 Hz. Smooth when you need it, super efficient when you don't. Being able to drop to 1 Hz on static content or always on display is a big reason this phone can still push up to 22 hours of video playback, even with such a tiny body. The whole system and display feel like they're talking to each other, but there is one big compromise, and it's audio. Because of the extreme thinness, Apple ditched the usual stereo speakers. There's just a single speaker up top, and yeah, you can hear the difference. It's quieter, less full, and the bass is basically non-existent. It's fine for calls, podcasts, TikTok, whatever, but if you watch a lot of movies or rely on your phone speakers, this is a downgrade. I found myself reaching for my headphones way more often. So design-wise, the iPhone Air is a fascinating mix of innovation and compromise. Ultra thin, ultra light, surprisingly durable, incredible screen, but with audio that definitely took the hit. So when you look at all of this together, the materials, the form factor, the experimental display tech, it really feels like Apple is preparing for something bigger. Maybe even something that folds. Now let's talk battery, the part everyone expected to be terrible on a phone this thin, and honestly, it's better than I thought. Apple completely redesigned the inside of the iPhone Air. Most of the chips and components are crammed into the top part, and the entire bottom section is basically one big battery. It's a risky layout, but it works. In light use, like watching downloaded videos on the trip, the Air can actually hit Apple's claimed 22 hours of playback. And in normal day-to-day use, I'm getting a little over 5 hours of screen time with about 15% left at the end of the day. For something 5.66mm thick, that's genuinely impressive. But when you push it, you feel the limits. High brightness, gaming, heavy apps, Bluetooth accessories, that will drain the battery fast. 2 hours of gaming can eat 40 to 50% of the charge, so even with the Pro chip, this isn't meant for long, demanding sessions. And charging is where the compromises really show. It tops out at 20 watts wired and 20 watts with MagSafe. By the way, it's funny how they fit MagSafe magnets in here, and they couldn't do it in the iPhone 16e. Classic Apple. A full charge takes around an hour and a half, totally fine if you charge overnight or while working, but frustrating if you've ever used ultra-fast charging on Android. So overall, the battery is surprisingly solid for how thin the iPhone Air is, as long as you use it the way it's meant to be used. Now, when it comes to performance, the iPhone Air is actually running the same A19 Pro chip you get in the iPhone 17 Pro, just with one GPU core less. In real use, the difference is tiny. CPU performance is basically identical, and even the graphics hit, around 15 to 25% lower in benchmarks, isn't really noticeable unless you're pushing the phone hard. Apple clearly tuned this chip to stay cooler inside such a thin body, though honestly, when you start gaming, the top part will quickly become warm. iOS 26 flies on this thing. The Pro Motion display makes everything feel even smoother, and day-to-day tasks like browsing, productivity apps, photo editing are effortless. Even heavier games like NBA 2K26 run great. Only the really demanding titles like Genshin Impact or Call of Duty Mobile start to dip after longer sessions. Connectivity is also top tier. You get Apple's new 5G modem, Wi-Fi 7, the updated N1 network chip, and Bluetooth 6. Signal strength and speeds are excellent, strong Wi-Fi through the whole apartment, quick AirDrop transfers, stable 4K streaming with no buffering. But here's the big change. The iPhone Air has no physical SIM slot. It's eSIM only, the first iPhone in many countries to do that. For most people it's fine, since most carriers already support eSIM, and you can use 2 eSIM profiles at once. Just make sure your operator handles eSIM before you switch. But the only real downgrade is the USB-C port, which is stuck at USB 2.0 speeds. It doesn't matter for normal use, AirDrop and iCloud solve most of that, but if you transfer big 4K files over a cable, you'll notice the slower speeds. And of course, iOS 26 with the new liquid glass design looks great on this software. The camera app, Photos app, and the whole interface have been refreshed, and the combination of A19 Pro plus Pro Motion keeps the entire system feeling fast and fluid. Now, cameras. The iPhone Air keeps it really simple. One camera on the back, one on the front. And even though that sounds basic by 2025 standards, both are genuinely good, just not as versatile as the setups on the other iPhone 17 models. The main rear camera is the same 48-megapixel fusion sensor from the regular iPhone 17. It's f1.6 aperture, equivalent to 26mm. It has that classic Apple look. Quite natural colors, great dynamic range, and a lot of detail. It handles bad lighting better than you'd expect, and overall it's just a really reliable point-and-shoot camera. But the limitations are obvious. No ultra-wide, no telephoto. The only zoom you get is the 2x crop from the big 48 megapixel sensor, and while it actually looks close to optical quality, it's still not a replacement for real zoom. If you travel a lot or like shooting landscapes, you'll feel that missing flexibility. And the front camera is the same 18 megapixel square format sensor from the iPhone 17 lineup. And it's honestly one of the best selfie cameras on the market right now. It shoots sharp, clean footage without the fake beauty filters you see on a lot of Android phones. It can also record in vertical or horizontal without rotating the phone, and center stage keeps you framed automatically, which is awesome for FaceTime or quick vlogs. For video, the iPhone Air is solid. 4K 60, great stabilization, and the signature Apple look. Smooth, clean, and quite cinematic. So are there any downsides? Of course there are. No ProRes, no log, no raw photos, and strangely, no cinematic mode, even though cheaper iPhones still have it. It's clearly another area where Apple drew the line to keep this device thin and simple. But even with those missing features, the iPhone Air still shoots the kind of photos and videos you'd expect from Apple. Natural colors, great exposure, and fast autofocus. It is not for pro creators, but for everyday users, it absolutely delivers. So in the end, the iPhone Air is a strange device. In a good way. It's not the most powerful iPhone, not the most versatile, and definitely not the one for spec chasers. But it is one of the most interesting phones Apple has made in years. It's ultra thin, beautifully built, surprisingly durable, and way more capable than anyone expected from a phone this light. Sure, the battery has limits. The speaker took a hit, and the camera system isn't as flexible as other models. But as a glimpse into Apple's future, whether that's new materials, new layouts, or even a foldable iPhone, the Air makes a lot of sense. It is a lifestyle phone. It's a test bed, and it's a statement all at once. Thank you for watching. I'm Miles, you're now miles ahead, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.